The report reveals that Americans are more likely to die of an opioid overdose than a car crash. America's Stephanie Myers details the findings and tells us how President Trump and lawmakers are trying to end the epidemic.
Newly released data reveals that for the first time ever, Americans have a greater chance of dying from an opioid overdose than a car crash. An analysis from the National Safety Council published the findings today, showing the odds of dying from an accidental opioid overdose are 1 in 96, while the odds of dying from a car crash are 1 in 103. The new statistics are based on the 2017 mortality data, which states more than 72,000 Americans died from drug overdoses. It was that same year President Trump declared the opioid crisis a public health emergency.
My administration is officially declaring the opioid crisis a national public health emergency under federal law, and why I am directing all executive agencies to use every appropriate emergency authority to fight the opioid crisis.
The president continues to highlight the issue during his time in office, signing a bipartisan opioids package in October, which allocates $6 billion in funding to combat the epidemic.
Together, we are going to end the scourge of drug addiction in America. We are going to end it, or we are going to at least make an extremely big dent in this terrible, terrible problem.
The package also included the STOP Act provision introduced by Ohio Senator Rob Portman, which requires the U.S. Postal Service to track fentanyl being shipped from overseas.
This deadly fentanyl is mostly coming through the mail system. It's being mailed into the United States of America, mostly from overseas, mostly from China. So there are some evil scientists somewhere in China making this fentanyl and then shipping it into your community. And it's the #1 killer right now.
Since then, the White House announced that China has agreed to help stem the flow of illegal fentanyl sent to the U.S. by designating fentanyl as a controlled substance, and those caught will be subject to China's maximum penalty. In addition, First Lady Melania Trump made the issue one of her pillars to combat in her Be Best initiative and encouraged Americans to lend a shoulder to anyone suffering from opioid abuse.
If you or someone you know needs help, you need to be brave enough to ask, or strong enough to stand with them as they fight through the disease.
The opioid epidemic is an issue lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are trying to combat, since it affects every state. Today's published figures come after another report from November found life expectancy decrease in the U.S., which the CDC attributes, in part, to drug overdoses. However, the Trump administration and lawmakers have made the issue a focal point, and Americans can expect even more legislative action to combat the epidemic. Stephanie Myers, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.